All right. Good evening, everybody on Facebook and here on Zoom. Happy Thursday, June 1st. Can you believe it? We are in the sixth month of the year. We are back for another mock interview with Corey Hiramoto of CareerShakers.com. Been doing this since the beginning of the pandemic and since the end of the pandemic. And he's here to help us get better at our interviewing for a variety of roles, as you've seen. And today we're doing a mock interview for Salesforce admin Sean Dwyer. Sean has shared his resume as well as a job description with Corey. And in this exercise, Corey will ask questions, Sean will answer, and then Corey will provide feedback. As viewers of this webinar, you can also ask your own questions or any inquiries you have about interviewing in general. Without further ado, Corey, over to you.
Thank you, Albert. I appreciate it. And for those of you who are looking for additional interviewing tips and general job search things, you can check out the Albert's List YouTube channel or my YouTube channel, which is Career Shakers, all one word. Both Albert and I post like interview tips, resume stuff. So feel free to check that out as well, so you can consume as much content as you would like. Now, before we dive into the actual mock interviews, we always like to give a huge round of applause and thank you to our volunteers. And today is Sean being so brave, volunteering himself for all of your
Oh
both
boy.
entertainment and education. So please do show Sean some love in the chat. And I want to give Sean a quick platform here. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, talk to them about the kinds of roles you're looking for, where you're looking for jobs, and that way if they have any opportunities or if someone is impressed by your background and they want to potentially hire you, what kind of jobs and things you are looking for. So feel free to take advantage of the audience.
Yes, I have been working in customer service for 21 years, not the traditional customer service in the store or anything, but I've been working for the Gap, and I'm still working there now. I am looking to transition to a position in the Salesforce realm, or Ohana as they like to call it. I have been looking for Salesforce admin, junior Salesforce admin, Salesforce business analyst, roles like that. I'm open to working anywhere, well, preferably out on the West Coast, but if the right opportunity is elsewhere, then I'm open to it. But I prefer remote or even a hybrid, unless it's super close, then of course I'd be willing to commute, but that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Alrighty. So yeah, if anyone is looking for or needs a Salesforce admin, please do reach out to Sean. You can get his contact info from me or from Albert. And today we're going to be practicing a Salesforce administrator position for a company called Tech Ohana. I chose this one because it's the most straightforward to like a literal Salesforce admin role. I know, Sean, you sent over a few other job descriptions, but one of them was like a combination of a project manager and a Salesforce admin, and that one's probably not the right fit
Sure.
at this time. So we're just going to be practicing a standard Salesforce admin role today. And for those of you who have questions for me or for Sean, feel free to utilize the chat function. We'll be checking them every so often. I've got about 4 or 5 questions that I crafted up that's based on his background and also this job description, but we don't have to stick to the script all the time, so feel free to give us suggestions. So how it's going to work is I'll ask Sean an interview question. We'll treat it like a real interview. So unless he gets totally stuck, I'm not going to give him any clues or hints. We just want to see what his initial answers are like, and then we'll give feedback after each question. All right, Sean, are you ready to begin?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, Sean, why don't you tell me about your Salesforce admin experience?
I have 4 years of Salesforce experience as an end user. I don't have any traditional admin experience per se, but I do have experience with Salesforce. I have the associate certification. I'm currently working on my admin certification as well as my business analyst certification.
Okay, and then from the end user perspective, which modules, which functions in Salesforce are you most comfortable and familiar with?
I'd have to say the type of version of Salesforce I've used is predominantly Service Cloud. That's the one I've used the most. because there's Service Cloud, there's Sales Cloud, and a few others, but Service Cloud is the one I have the most experience with.
And then what are some things you are learning from your Salesforce certification that you believe has enhanced your knowledge?
The processes I've gone through, being an end user and going through their program known as Trailhead. I've learned quite a lot about Salesforce. I've learned about roles and profiles and how to, and I've learned quite a lot, but it's just those are just a couple things that stand out. I've learned how to build flows and processes. I've learned about that. I've done a lot of modules, and as I said, I've been studying, so I've been having to grasp as much of Salesforce in general as I can.
Okay, all right. So we'll pause and break here. What do you think about your initial response so far, Sean?
I admittedly I've done a lot with the Salesforce. It's just a struggle for me to call out a whole bunch like on the fly like that because there's so much to it. It's huge. It's one great big CRM.
Yep. Do you believe this is probably like a very common question you'll get if you're applying for Salesforce admin roles?
Come to think of it, it's possible. I mean, I think that I think I definitely could do some brushing up on that.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the first question you're going to get in every single interview, right? If it's a Salesforce admin role, they're going to ask you, tell me about your Salesforce experience. Because I looked at your resume and you aren't currently a Salesforce admin, right? You're getting the certification for it, which automatically means I need to ask you, right? Because it's your job now to tell me, okay, what in your regular job is relevant for the role? Plus, you add the fact that you've now gotten the certification that now makes you qualified, correct? So that's the story you need to pitch to me and convince me. The best way to do that is to have concrete examples, right? Hey, I learned this training, and then I applied that at my regular job at the Gap, right? In Service Cloud, right? I was like, oh wait, look, there's actually a faster way to do things, or I helped optimize the flow for me and my team, or at the Gap at work, they were going to update us to a new version of Service Cloud. And because I have my certification, I volunteered to help out to do X, Y, and Z, right? Those are the types of examples where I'd be like, oh, great. Okay, so he doesn't have an official Salesforce admin title, but Sean understands Salesforce and he's able to do and implement some of the concepts in his regular job. Because that's the most important thing, right? It's great to get a certification, but you need to be able to show me that you've applied it at work.
Right.
Okay. So why don't you give it a shot? Tell me about your Salesforce administration experience.
Okay. I am not a Salesforce admin as of yet. I do have the associate certification. I'm studying to become a Salesforce admin to get my certification there. As an end user, I have learned about the process of creating orders, creating customer files, and articles, and reading those and figuring out how to access those articles. I figured out how to use Chatter, which is a tool that is used which is kind of like their version of Zoom or Teams in a way. So I've learned about that through the Trailhead program. I've completed a lot of modules and learned a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I've learned all about standard and custom objects. For one thing, I've learned about master detail relationships and junction objects. There's quite a lot to the CRM. It's so massive, but those are just a few things that I've learned thus far.
Great. And what are some of the Salesforce administrative duties you have in your current role today?
I don't have any specific role duties as an admin. I'm only an end user of the product. So in my job, I just use Salesforce regularly to send out emails, update customer files, access articles, suggest improvements for articles, and we use an add-on software for if we need to make or take phone calls, as well as for emails too.
Okay, cool. Much better of a start. Much better of a start.
Okay.
Now, obviously, they know you don't have an actual Salesforce admin role, right? So for that
Right.
answer, you're supposed to talk about how you may not have the admin role, but you've taken your trainings and you've made suggestions or recommendations, or you've
Sure.
improved the end user workflow for your team based on the knowledge you've gotten through your courses and the modules that you've taken related to Service Cloud, right? Like that's the best way to answer that, is being like, no, I haven't done it, but they already knew that, right? It's your chance to be like, but I've applied some of those concepts, right? I
Mhm.
realize that there's a better way to do X, Y, and Z, or I know that our team doesn't properly use X, Y, and Z tool, right? So I trained everyone on how to do it or whatever. Now we're faster, better, more efficient, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Or maybe the Gap needed to implement Salesforce a few years ago and you helped out with some of the testing or whatever, right? Well, whatever
Right.
examples you can get that slide more towards the admin would probably be really good.
Okay.
All right. Great job. Ready for the next question?
Sure.
All right. So tell me about a time where you had to either do a data migration or do some data maintenance and management.
The best way I can answer that is just by doing data maintenance and management. Whenever we have to update a customer account, we can update their information, their email address, their billing, shipping address, phone number, things like that. I haven't really done any data migration. I know what it is, but I haven't actually done that in my role when it comes to Salesforce, the role I'm currently at.
But did you learn about how to do that in your certification course? And can you tell me about how you would do it?
Yeah, I did learn about that in my certification course. I know what the biggest things to use for data migration is using either the data loader or data import wizard. The data loader is for when you have between 50,000 and 5 million contacts or files to add in. And the data loader is up to 50,000. And you can load information either way based upon, the number of contacts or files that you have, exactly what information. You can fine tune it through either way. It's the data import wizard that's the bulk of it. And of course, there are other third-party things you can use if you somehow need to load greater amounts of data than even that.
And what are some key specific things related to the Salesforce platform that people need to keep in mind when they are doing data migration or data management?
Oh boy. See, I've done it before, but I just can't think of it off the top of my head. So I know that I'd have to be able to answer that question.
It's okay. No worries. No worries at all.
Um,
Okay. So we'll go to the feedback section. Now, for those of you who are wondering like why I'm asking these very specific questions, it's all based on the job description. All three job descriptions for what a Salesforce admin would do all talk about data migration and data management, as that's one of the main responsibilities of being a Salesforce admin. So of course we're going to have to ask questions around that piece. Now, I already knew that Sean hasn't done that in his regular job. So what he's supposed to do is talk about exactly like he did, what he's learned in his certification courses about how he would do it if he was given the opportunity. And he did a good job talking about the Salesforce loader and all the other tools that you would need to use for the migration and management. And that's the best way to demonstrate, hey, I haven't done it in my regular job, but you knew that already. But let me talk about what I've learned so I can show you that I actually understand what I'm talking about, right? And you did a very good job once you started explaining that. So just make sure it's always like, okay, yeah, they obviously know that I haven't done it. So let me convince them that I would know how to do it. And the best way to convince them is to be as specific as possible and maybe even give some examples, right? You can be like, yeah, even last month I had took a specific training module on data migration from, Microsoft 365 into Salesforce. That was our practice homework problem as to how we would do that, and I got a perfect score on the whatever, right? I don't know if you get grades on your certifications or percentages or something, but
Right.
it's also good to talk about that, right? Like, yeah, I passed with 100% or with 97% or blah, 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 right? At least quantify and show them like, hey, not only did I pass, but like I did really good, you know?
Of course.
And having examples is always like the best way to show them that you truly understand something,
In
right?
general, that's been my biggest weakness when it comes to interviews is just not being able to quantify anything, because in my particular job, it's very hard. It's not sales, it's not I brought in X amount of dollars in sales or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. But in this role, luckily, it's not
Right.
as data intensive, right?
Mhm.
So that's why in this one it's like it's great because you're taking the steps to get the certification. Now you just need to make sure you're taking the examples from the certification and then using that as part of your answers now.
Mhm.
All right, cool. Next question. um, Imagine we hired you as our Salesforce admin, okay? And at our company, we currently do not have Salesforce yet, but I'm hiring you because I plan on buying and then integrating Salesforce at our company. So walk me through how you would help us properly install, uh, implement, launch Salesforce.
Well, it depends on exactly what you want to do, because as I mentioned earlier, with Salesforce, it's a great big CRM and there's so much that you can do. I think the first thing is I would learn about exactly what you're looking to achieve in Salesforce and take it from there. I imagine that we'll need to create customer files for every individual or company that you interact with. So I would start there. I would then figure out how exactly you want to be able to search for things. And then I would create different objects, use standard objects or create different custom objects in order to lay out exactly what forms you want to use for a given business process. Figure out if you want to just fine tune it, because it can be drop downs, it can be other forms of multiple choice. I would just start there and branch out and ask questions from you as I go.
What do you think is like the minimum, what's the word, modules of Salesforce that we should probably be considering and implementing in our company?
Well, if you have more than one sales practice, I mean, we could make one layout for, say, straight sales, and another layout for customer service folks who like to do troubleshooting. I mean, they would have a different setup, obviously, from sales, and figure out where they intersect. And then there's another thing that we have, which is called the omni-channel mechanism, where cases, as they come in, they can get pushed to a given department to work on. And if they're not responded to in a certain period of time, they get escalated. that it's set that kind of a setup up, especially for the technical folks who need to troubleshoot if they have problems with a given program or a given product.
Okay, very good. Very good. Very good. Now, this is a great question because it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate all of the things you've learned throughout your certifications, right? Like,
Mhm.
should they have Service Cloud? Probably. What other offerings, products from Salesforce should a company be considering, right? That's what they're going to be asking you. And then, of
Right.
course, you were talking about it, but that's the everything else after that is the configuration piece, which is
Sure.
also what they need Salesforce admins do. And then you were doing a good job by probing and throwing out different ideas in ways that you may need to actually configure Salesforce after you were to buy certain modules from them, right?
Right. Right. Hmm.
Very good. Very good. So I think the only thing to add to this would probably be a little bit of of a structure behind it, right? Because so far you've been throwing out very good ideas, but there doesn't seem to be like a
I'm not able to mesh it all together and make it flow
exactly.
properly. And I'd have
Yeah.
to, and personally, I'd have to go back and I'd probably have to write out exactly some things and then maybe have them hanging.
Yeah.
Just I can just look at it and reference. But that's another struggle of mine is when it comes to interviews is just making things flow and making things make sense.
Hmm.
It's such a struggle for me. It's incredible.
But it's a very common struggle, right, Sean? So don't feel like it's just you. Everyone faces these types of problems whenever they are doing a hypothetical interview question because there's many different
Hmm.
roads you can take, and Salesforce itself is a very complex and large platform. So, all right, let me check the chat here. Does anyone have any custom questions for us? Not yet. All right. Don't be shy, everybody. Don't be shy. Okay. So based on your trainings and certifications, and even your end user experience, what are some configuration requests that companies should always be considering in order to provide the best type of experience for their customers? Or put another way, are there certain mistakes you see companies make when they are configuring their Salesforce platforms? And what mistakes should we be aware of?
Well, you have to, when you set up any kind of a process, if you're activating an object or if you're activating an email template or things like that, you always have to check and make sure that it is active for each little thing before you actually can implement it, before anybody can use it. And then there's another part of that too. Now that I think about it, there's security features. You have to make sure that the right individuals can only see what they need to see. You really have to dig deep sometimes to make sure that you have to make sure that only say the managers have the greatest degree of being able to see what everyone else has beneath them, and for the people who are just starting out or on the lower end, they don't have the access to see too much. It's You have to make sure that the hierarchical setup is right.
Okay. Besides the security access, what are
Mhm.
other common mistakes you've seen companies make?
Well, I just touched on it. Not having they create the email templates, but they don't have the right what's the word I'm looking for? Qualification. I can't think of the word right now, but no, it's a validation tool is what it is. Validation. Like you have to have X, Y, and Z in order for A, B, or C to work. So the validation tool may not be right, or there may not be one at all. Or the features aren't set properly for an object, or something else. It has to be, it may not be that it's turned on. You have to go in and turn it on to where people will be able to see it and then be able to fill out what they need to fill out in order to create a case or troubleshoot or close it out and move on to the next one, things like that.
Okay, good. All right. So what are some things you think you did really well as a part of your answer for this one?
Well, I can tell you that we can go back to what you just talked about with the flow thing and making sure that it flows properly. But I think I had to really dig, but I had to think of some terms that that are in Salesforce and some things that are unique to it, like the validation thing. I think I did some of that. I could
Mhm.
do better on that front.
Mhm. What do you think you could add to your answer?
What could I add to my answer? Better examples of how to answer that question. Like go back through some of the modules and be sure to have those called up to where to answer them. I guess I'm trying to understand your question here.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly right. Examples, but not necessarily from the training this time, right?
Mhm.
This is a great question for you to talk about actually your experience as an end user, right? Because
Okay, yeah,
because now that you have the Salesforce admin training,
that's
you now
true.
actually in your regular job, you
I
should
should
now
be
be
able to
able to
talk more
point.
about being an end user. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can tell now when you're sitting at your regular job, oh, look, why don't we use this functionality in Salesforce? Like that would be super helpful for me. Or,
Hmm.
oh, I don't like how they configured Service Cloud for me to only be able to do X, Y, and Z. It really slows me down in my workflow, right? This is the perfect time where you get to talk about your end user experience and now show them, hey, this is relevant, right? Like you
Hmm.
get the best of both worlds because I know what it's like to be an admin because I'm doing the training, but I also know what it's like to be an end user,
Hmm.
right? So this is awesome for you. Because if you get any type of like question like this, you should be thinking, okay, great. I can talk about all the inefficiencies or the misconfigurations that my company has that I've now noticed because I have all this training, right? Because anyone who has not done the training would just be like, oh, I just assume that that's how Salesforce is, right? Like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, that's fine. But
Sure.
they don't know what they don't know in a sense, but
Right.
you do, right? So this is a great chance because you can be like, yeah, at my regular job, I wish we had this module set up or this thing, or the workflow isn't set up right, or I'm not able to access X, Y, and Z. I notice I have more security, access than I probably should. Boom, right? That shows them, okay, he's taking his concepts and he's applying it at work.
Okay.
All right, cool. So we got some questions here. What do you consider to be your greatest Salesforce strength and your greatest weakness in the tool?
Oh, that is a good question. I think my greatest Salesforce strength is comes from my time using the product as an end user. I'm able to figure out how to improve on a process or at least figure out how to um, make it better for myself. If the company won't implement it, I can always make a suggestion. I guess my biggest weakness is just playing around with it, for lack of a better term, to make sure that it does flow properly. Because again, there are a lot of steps you have to take to create a flow or a process, and if you get one little thing wrong, it could throw it off, and you have to go back and dig to figure out what the issue is.
Okay. For your weakness, do you think there's another one you should pick?
Um, I'm sure there is, but I just can't think of it right now.
I guess I should rephrase. Do you feel like the weakness you've chosen to share is the best one in an interview?
No, no. I sucked at answering that question. I'll just be straight up.
That's okay. I mean, we're here to learn, right? So for the audience, why is that not a good weakness to share? What do you think, Sean?
Um, why do I, what was the question again? Why do I think that that wasn't a
That's-
good answer?
Yeah,
Because it's not specific enough.
it's not
Clearly,
specific,
it wasn't specific enough.
not specific enough. Uh, I mean, I think it was pretty specific. I think the problem was how specific it was. So you said your greatest strength is that you're an end user. So you've basically got the perspective of both sides, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so you can build for the end user, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, then you said your greatest weakness is that you've never actually used the tool,
Uh,
right? Is
yeah,
that the best weakness to share in an interview to become a Salesforce admin?
no.
Yeah,
I'd
probably
have
not.
to I'd have to figure out how to answer that question without saying that I've never used the tool, because clearly I have. I've used it enough times.
Yeah,
I just
yeah. Because you said my greatest weakness is that I don't have a holistic usage of the Salesforce platform, which basically means I haven't really touched a lot of the Salesforce platform,
now I
which is
can
like,
see why that sounds bad.
right, it's like red flag, red flag. I'm trying to hire this guy to manage my Salesforce platform, and he just told me he doesn't have a holistic view of the Salesforce platform. So even though that may be true, but that's what your certification is for, right? It's to give you that holistic view of the Salesforce platform. You should understand, if I sat you down in front of the computer, you should be able to understand, oh yeah, wait, this looks like what I learned. Oh, I remembered that lesson. I'm supposed to click this, right?
Hmm.
And they would know that if they're interviewing you and they've seen that you have a Salesforce admin certification, they know you haven't, like, been hands-on in the tool, but that's not a deal breaker, right?
Right.
So instead, your weakness should be something else in the tool, right? You should probably say, hey, my greatest weakness maybe is that, while my greatest strength is that I am subject matter expert in Service Cloud, because I literally used that for the last 6 years in my current job as an end user. I haven't had much hands-on experience with, and then you pick some module or product that that almost no one buys,
Hmm.
right? You pick, yeah, I've never used that. Um, and that's probably my greatest weakness, because if there's a company that ever needs someone who has been able to implement it, I have not done that. But in my certification course, I have learned how to do that if I was put in that situation. Some of the key things to look out for are X, Y, and Z. But I also know that this is not one of Salesforce's most popular products, and it's not very common in which companies actually would require it, or something like that, right? You pick something technical that's not really important, and you say, yeah, that's my greatest
Hmm.
weakness, and then they're going to go, okay, cool, I don't care about that,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Great job, though. Great job. These are some tough questions. Tough questions. All right, here we go. Walk me through what you feel are the most significant components of a customer support software, while not factoring in price, in a situation where the company's executives are looking to make a change. It's kind of a confusing question. Let me reword this. Hold on.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So imagine a company is trying to change their customer support software. They want to get rid of
Hmm.
the one they have and pick a new one. What are the most important things that they should be considering besides price when they're picking a customer support software?
For a customer support software, you need something that is reliable and is simple enough for your employees to use. It has to be something that is easy to set up, is easy to implement and is easy to customize and is reliable and fast. You don't need a software where you have to take too many steps to update a customer file or to place an order or to troubleshoot an issue that a customer has with your product. You want something that is customizable, and I'm sure I'm going to repeat myself here, but you want something that's reliable, that's fast, that's customizable, that's simple, and is not too and doesn't involve a lot of steps to complete a process.
Okay. Is Salesforce that platform then?
It is.
All right. So I think this is a good question actually to ask. And then the only thing that's missing is what, Sean? What are you missing in your example, in your answer?
Providing an example.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. That demonstrates your knowledge of Salesforce.
Right.
And you could pick any of those three things, right? You said it needs to be reliable, needs to be simple, and it needs to be configurable, right? So you can pick any of those three things, and you're going to give me an example now from your trainings about why Salesforce is either reliable, simple for users, and configurable.
Okay.
Want to give it a shot?
That's a whole lot for me to try and memorize and answer in one go. I'd have to write it out.
Just pick one. Reliable
Okay.
or simple. Probably are the two easier ones. And
Okay.
then tell me an example of like how you could configure Salesforce or why Salesforce is reliable / simple.
Okay. I think Salesforce is the best way to go because it is simple to use in some respects, yet you can customize it based upon exactly what you need, which
For
helps to make
example-
it simple.
For example, a company would want to do.
Okay. For example, if a company wanted to set up a sales process and they know the steps that they want, they could go pick out the layout that they want to use. They can pick out the objects that they want to use. They can make custom ones if they want, or just use the standard ones. And then they can tie everything together with junction objects, master detail things, master detail relationships. And then there you have your sales process.
And that would be faster than doing it.
And that would be faster than doing it through traditional methods once you set everything up. It's simple in that you can customize it to make it as easy as you need it to be or more detailed. Obviously, the less that you have, the simpler it is, but you can set it up that way if you want to. You're not forced into one thing all the time.
Right. Okay. Good. Very good. So general theme so far today, Sean, has been more specific examples where possible, leveraging what you've learned in your courses. And then where possible, tie it back to your regular day job.
Sure.
So we got an interesting question from someone in the audience here. So they would want to know, are very interested in knowing what you think about the recent development in AI applications, especially those that apply to Salesforce or other CRM solutions.
Oh yes, like Chat GPT, right?
Yeah.
We have not been using Chat GPT. I know that a lot of people have been using Chat GPT with Salesforce, I'm just still trying to get a grasp on it and everything. I mean, I know enough about what it is, what ChatGPT is, but that's pretty much the extent of it.
Okay. Do
I
you think
know,
it's going to have any impacts on CRM tools, or are they going to be integrating with some, or is Salesforce, based on your training, is Salesforce looking to implement more AI or machine learning functions or features into the tool?
um, based on what I've seen with people trying to implement Chat GPT and tie it together, I can only conclude that that's certainly going to be something that'll happen, if it's not happening already now. Um, I just haven't personally tried using it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Uh, Jay, if you want more context, I guess you and Sean can chat about it offline. I don't have much insight about Salesforce and its potential integrations and uses with AI, but good question. All right, let's go to yeah, I guess this is a good one to end on. Sean, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh God, that is a common question. To be perfectly honest, I can't think about 5 years. I can't even think about 1 year. I just I try to take things day by day anymore, week by week, because nothing is promised to anybody. I just can't answer that question because because a million things could happen. I mean, I could be dead in 5 years for all I know.
Let's imagine this is an interview and try
Okay.
answer the question again. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
um, Hopefully with the same company in a greater role with greater responsibilities.
What does that mean to you? What is greater role, greater responsibilities?
Hopefully I will have learned enough from one role to advance to the next role and apply my experiences towards my new position, whatever that may be.
What is the typical role that a Salesforce admin grows into?
Well, they can branch out. They can go be a developer. They can be a business analyst. They could do more stuff on the marketing side. They could build apps. Um, they could build on. They could do things like that. Really, it's infinite what you can do. I know that there's a lot of certifications out there for those things. To be an app builder, or to be a business analyst, or to be a master at Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, or even Marketing Cloud or Health Cloud. Um, so it's really, once you become an admin, you can go one of several different ways.
Okay. So for the interviews, if you get asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do exactly what Sean did. You lead off by saying, I want to be here, or whatever the company's name is, right? I want to be still working at that company. That's the first way you start off the answer on a very good note. Next, you talk about obviously how you're going to be growing in the role. And that's the good word to use, is growing. You don't want to talk about moving on, getting a promotion, managing people, right? Even though that's the reality of what happens, you don't want to give them the impression of, oh, he doesn't actually want this job. He just wants the job after this one, or this is just a stepping stone job for him. Sean doesn't really care about this. He wants to do X, Y, and Z. So just keep it very generic and say you hope to grow in the role. And then when you talk about how you're going to be growing, that's when you got to talk about some of the technical skills that you plan on enhancing or getting much, much deeper into. So Sean can talk about how, hey, right now I'm a subject matter expert in Service Cloud, and through all of my certifications and trainings, I'm actually also really interested in becoming a subject matter expert for Sales Cloud or whatever, right? And then hopefully as I develop my skills here, I can also help improve the workflows and the processes for not only just myself, but also for my team members as well. Because then you got to show about how you're going to be helping out the team, not just yourself. Right. So those are the three areas you kind of want to make sure you address in your, where do you see yourself in 5 years? All right, cool. Albert, That's all that I had. And again, quick plug, please do check out our Career Shakers YouTube channel for more interview tips, the Alberts List YouTube channel as well. And please, everyone, give a round of applause to Sean for volunteering and helping us learn all about Salesforce admin roles. So thank you, Sean. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. I just hope I did well enough.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thank you, Corey, again. And thank you all that out there for continuing to watch our mock interviews. These are really helpful, especially in these times when interviews matter more than ever, given the competitiveness of the job market. We'll be back for more mock interviews. Feel free to not only join us on our YouTube channel, but also within our Facebook group where you're watching now. And if you're interested in signing up and being a future mock interviewee, please also let us know. Thank you so much and have a wonderful end of the week and weekend ahead. Bye-bye.